There comes a time in every life when the weight of what we've endured feels heavier than what we can carry. People have tried to tear you down, not because of your weakness, but because of the strength they see in you. They whispered behind your back, they plotted in the shadows, they smiled to your face while planting seeds of doubt in your path. But what they didn't realize is this: when people come against you, when betrayal creeps in from those closest to you, it's not the end. It's often the beginning of something greater. You were never meant to stay down. You were never meant to be defined by your pain. You were built for resilience, molded by the fire of adversity, and destined for a purpose far beyond your present struggle. Every tear you cried in silence, every night you lay awake questioning why it was never wasted. Because in those moments, when you thought you were forgotten, overlooked, or dismissed, something greater was at work. Heaven was not ignoring you. It was preparing you. It was lifting you in secret so the world could one day see what real favor looks like. People tried to break you because your presence threatened the comfort of their insecurity. You walked into rooms they wanted to dominate. You spoke truth when lies had been sitting unchallenged. You dared to rise when they were hoping you'd fall. But what they didn't count on was the fact that you are covered. You are chosen. You are protected by a force that no man, no enemy, no hater can override. And when God decides to lift you, no scandal, no rumor, no attack can stop it. They tried to shut doors on you, but the door that's meant for you doesn't need their permission to open. This is the season where you stop apologizing for surviving. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop explaining your value to people who never saw it in the first place, because God doesn't just restore, He elevates. He doesn't just vindicate, He exalts. He's about to lift you in a way that even your enemies will have to acknowledge. They will have no choice but to say, "That had to be God." Understand this: your struggle was never about punishment. It was about positioning. The rejection, the disappointment, the betrayal. It was all a setup for your rising. If they hadn't walked away, you wouldn't have found your true strength. If they hadn't tried to bury you, they wouldn't have realized you were a seed. And now, what was meant to break you is the very thing that will announce your arrival. So stand tall, not in pride, but in purpose. Don't let bitterness take root in your heart. Don't let your pain turn you cold. Instead, let it fuel your growth. Keep showing up. Keep walking in integrity. Keep loving even when it hurts, because the one who lifts you does not need applause, but when He moves, the whole world sees. God is not finished with you. He's just getting started. And when He lifts you, He will make sure the very people who counted you out will witness the glory of your comeback. Stay faithful. Stay grounded. And get ready, because elevation is on the way. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. People walk away, doors close, dreams delay, and pain seems relentless. In those seasons, it's easy to believe that you've been forgotten or that your struggle is punishment. But the truth is far more powerful. Your struggles are a divine setup for elevation. Nothing you've gone through is random. Every challenge, every rejection, every closed door was part of a plan designed not to break you, but to build you. The pain you endured was a preparation ground, not a grave. When life seemed to bury you, it was actually planting you. The darkness you felt was the soil where your growth was beginning to take root. Often, we ask why things are so hard. Why didn't it work out? Why did they leave? Why did you have to start over? But rarely do we realize that it's in those exact moments that we are being prepared for what's next. Growth rarely happens in comfort. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined in fire. Likewise, your elevation requires trials that shape your character, test your faith, and strengthen your endurance. Every painful chapter carries the seed of transformation, and while it may feel unbearable in the moment, it is shaping you into someone who can handle the weight of the blessing coming your way. Sometimes it's not that you're being delayed, it's that you're being aligned. If God gave you what you were praying for when you first asked, you might not have had the wisdom or maturity to handle it. The struggle refined you, the setback gave you clarity, the rejection forced you to depend on something greater than human approval, and in all of this you were being set up, not for just a return to where you were, but for a rise to where you've never been. People who tried to stop you may have thought they succeeded. They might have celebrated when you fell, mocked you when you failed, and turned their backs when you needed support. But what they didn't see was that the hand of God was still on you. They saw you fall, but they didn't see the foundation being rebuilt under your feet. They heard your cry, but they didn't see the strength growing in your spirit. What looked like defeat was the hidden work of destiny at play. So when you reflect on your past struggles, don't see them as wasted time. See them as the launching pad for your breakthrough. You were not being punished, you were being prepared. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was part of the setup. You were never left behind. You were simply being positioned to rise in a way that no one could deny. And when that elevation comes, it will be clear that what tried to destroy you only made you stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. It's a painful truth, but one that sets you free once you accept it. People often attack what they fear. You may have found yourself wondering why certain individuals turned against you, why friends suddenly became distant, or why coworkers seemed threatened by your progress. It's not always about what you did wrong. Sometimes it's simply because your presence reminds them of what they are not. Your strength, your potential, your light, all of it becomes a mirror that reflects their insecurity, and instead of confronting their own lack of growth, they aim to tear you down so they can feel taller. When you walk with purpose, when you carry vision, and when you live with integrity, it intimidates those who are content with mediocrity. You become a threat without saying a word. You challenge their comfort by simply being who you are. This is why some people will try to minimize you, mock your dreams, or create obstacles in your path. Their actions aren't truly about you. They're a reflection of their own inner battle. They fear your rise, not because they doubt your ability, but because deep down they know you have exactly what it takes to soar. The danger lies in believing their words and adopting their limited mindset. When you're under constant attack, it's tempting to shrink yourself, to dim your light just to keep the peace or to be accepted. But the truth is, no matter how much you try to conform, it will never be enough for people who are determined to misunderstand you. The more you suppress your greatness, the more frustrated you'll become, and the more control you give to those who never had your best interest at heart in the first place. It's important to understand that the resistance you face is often confirmation that you're on the right path. Resistance means you're moving. Opposition means you're making impact. The very fact that people are trying to break you is evidence that there's something inside of you worth breaking. If you were truly empty, if your presence had no power, they wouldn't bother. But because you carry something rare, vision, resilience, faith, or truth, they try to silence it, sabotage it, or slander it. Your response in these moments determines everything. Don't let fear, bitterness, or revenge dictate your path. Keep showing up, keep shining, and keep growing. Their fear of your greatness is not your burden to carry. You weren't meant to fit into places that can't handle your capacity. Let them talk, let them plot, let them doubt, because all of it will become background noise when your purpose speaks louder. What's inside you was placed there for a reason, and no attack can erase what's been divinely planted. Their fear of your light only confirms that you're meant to shine. There is a powerful truth that often goes unnoticed when you're walking through adversity. God's favor overrides human rejection. It doesn't matter who tried to close doors on you, discredit your name, or deny your worth. What is meant for you cannot be stopped by the hands of man. Rejection may sting, especially when it comes from people you trusted or looked up to, but it is never the final word. When you've been chosen for a purpose, no amount of opposition can cancel the plan that's already in motion. Human rejection is temporary, but divine favor is eternal. Too often we internalize rejection, allowing it to define our value. We think, if they didn't choose me, maybe I wasn't good enough. But favor has nothing to do with being picked by people. It has everything to do with being called by God. And when He opens a door, you won't need a resume of approval from those who once dismissed you. His favor doesn't need a committee. It doesn't need a recommendation. It breaks through barriers, overrides rules, and rewrites outcomes. Where others see impossibility, God makes a way that no one else can explain. There are times when rejection is actually protection. The job you didn't get, the relationship that fell apart, the circle that pushed you out. It may have hurt, but it saved you from something smaller than what you were destined for. People may try to limit your future based on their limited vision, but they don't control your destiny. Favor lifts you beyond the realm of human expectations. It places you in positions others thought you didn't qualify for. It causes people to wonder how you got there, not realizing that what surrounds you isn't luck, it's purpose. When people walk away from you, it's often because they were never meant to go where you're going. God's favor doesn't follow popularity. It follows obedience, faith, and resilience. You don't need to chase acceptance when favor is already working on your behalf. You don't need to prove yourself to those who refuse to see your worth. The right people will recognize what's on you because they are meant to walk with you in your purpose, not just observe it from a distance. Rejection can be loud, painful, and personal, but favor doesn't need to shout. It moves silently, yet powerfully. While others are busy talking about why you won't make it, favor is arranging a table for you in the presence of every doubter. It's lifting you in ways that can't be explained by logic. What they tried to block, God is building. What they tried to bury, He is raising. And the most beautiful part is this: when God lifts you, even those who rejected you will have no choice but to witness your rise. Because favor speaks louder than rejection ever could. There's a strength within you that you may not have fully recognized, one that only emerges in the midst of adversity. Life has a way of revealing our deepest capacities not in moments of ease, but in seasons of hardship. And no matter what came against you, whether betrayal, heartbreak, loss, or failure, it did not break you. It may have bent you. It may have brought you to your knees, but it didn't destroy you. Why? Because asterisk asterisk, you were built for resilience, not defeat asterisk asterisk. Resilience is more than just endurance. It's the ability to recover, to rise, and to move forward even after being knocked down. Many people experience hardship, but not everyone gets back up. You did. And that's a sign that you're carrying something greater than the storm you're facing. You were wired with grit. You were born with purpose. You carry something, on the inside that adversity can't erase. That's why the attack came. That's why the opposition was fierce. Because your existence threatens the darkness. Asterisk, asterisk, every trial has been a test, asterisk, asterisk, not to prove how weak you are, but to reveal how strong you've become. The moments when you thought you couldn't take another step were the very moments when something inside you, your faith, your determination, your identity, began to grow. You've survived things that others would have crumbled under. You've walked through fire and came out refined, not ruined. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's purpose in action. People often mistake quiet strength for weakness, but true resilience doesn't always roar. Sometimes it looks like showing up again after failure. Sometimes it looks like forgiving when you had every right to hold a grudge. Sometimes it looks like rebuilding from scratch with no applause and no support, just belief. And you've done that. You've kept moving forward when everything in your life screamed stop. That's not just surviving, that's thriving under pressure. Asterisk, asterisk, you were not designed to give up. Asterisk, asterisk, you were not built to be destroyed by the opinions of others or the weight of circumstances. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of victory. You're still standing, and that alone is proof that you're stronger than the storm. So when life tries to knock you down again, and it will, remember everything you've already overcome. Remind yourself of every moment you thought would be the end, but wasn't. Look back not to dwell on the pain, but to fuel the fire within you, because you didn't come this far by accident. You came this far because you're a fighter, a survivor, a warrior with a destiny that pain couldn't cancel. And that same resilience that brought you through before will carry you into greater things ahead. You've already proven you can survive the breaking. Now it's time to walk in the power of your rising. When God decides to lift you, there will be evidence. It won't be a quiet promotion, a silent breakthrough, or a hidden victory. It will be something so undeniable, so powerful, that even the people who doubted you, dismissed you, or tried to destroy you will have no choice but to watch. Elevation comes with evidence because God doesn't just lift you for your own sake. He lifts you as a testimony, a declaration that His hand is on your life. The people who saw you struggle, who whispered about your failures, who counted you out, will be the same ones witnessing your rise. You see, the attacks weren't random, the betrayal wasn't accidental. Everything you went through was part of a story being written for a purpose far greater than your pain. God never wastes suffering. The hardship prepared the platform. The rejection cleared the path. And when the time is right, He will elevate you in such a way that the very people who underestimated you will see what favor looks like in action. Not because you need their validation, but because God uses the visibility of your victory to declare that no one can stop what He ordains. When people see the evidence of your elevation, your peace, your progress, your power, they won't be able to explain it. They'll wonder how someone who went through what you did could still rise, still shine, still succeed. They won't understand how you managed to rebuild after the storm, how you found joy after heartbreak, how you kept your integrity after betrayal. That's when it becomes clear that it was never about your ability. It was always about divine purpose. God's elevation doesn't come through human strength. It comes through His grace, and that grace leaves undeniable footprints. The evidence of your elevation won't just be seen in material things. It'll be seen in your mindset, your character, your resilience. It will be seen in the way you walk into rooms with peace instead of proving a point. It will be seen in the calm confidence that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. It will be seen in the doors that open for you without manipulation or compromise. That's what true elevation looks like. It changes not only your level, but your posture. Some people thought they buried you for good. They expected you to stay broken, but they will witness the exact opposite. They will see that what they tried to break actually built you. They will see that what they meant for evil, God used for good. That's the kind of evidence no one can deny. Your life will speak louder than any argument, and your success will silence every lie. So don't be surprised when the people who hurt you are seated in the audience of your breakthrough. Elevation comes with witnesses, and when it's your time, God will not only lift you, He will make sure the world sees it. When people hurt you, the natural reaction is to become guarded, bitter, and closed off. It feels like the safest way to protect yourself from further pain. But bitterness is a slow poison. It doesn't just affect how you see others. It begins to infect how you see yourself, your future, and even your God. That's why, when you're waiting on elevation, the greatest test is often not what happened to you, but how you choose to respond. It's not about whether they wronged you. It's about whether you allow that wrong to block the blessing that's ahead. The most powerful position you can take is to remain faithful, not bitter. Bitterness whispers that you have a right to stay angry. It convinces you that holding on to the pain gives you control, but in truth, bitterness binds you. It attaches you to a moment in time and traps you in a cycle of blame, replaying the betrayal, the injustice, the disrespect over and over. It keeps you locked in the offense long after the offender has moved on. And while you're stuck reliving what they did, you can miss what God is doing now. Bitterness closes the heart that favor is trying to enter. Faithfulness, on the other hand, is not weakness. It's strength under control. Remaining faithful doesn't mean you deny your pain. It means you trust that the pain has a purpose and that the one who saw it all is still in control. When you remain faithful to your calling, to your integrity, and to your growth, you are saying, "What they did won't change who I am." That decision keeps your spirit open to receive the very thing bitterness would have blocked. Forgiveness is not approval. It's not saying they were right. It's saying, "I refuse to carry this with me into my future." It's freedom. And that freedom creates space for peace, clarity, and the movement of God in your life. Bitterness is heavy, but faith is light. And it's in that lightness that God begins to lift you. The very act of choosing faith over bitterness positions you for elevation because it proves you're ready to rise without dragging the past with you. People who hurt you don't hold the power. Your reaction does. When you keep your heart pure, even in the face of injustice, you align yourself with something greater than revenge. You align with purpose. That's when doors begin to open. That's when favor locates you. Not because you forced it, but because you were faithful in the waiting, in the pain, and in the process. Your elevation is too important to be delayed by what someone else did. Let them go. Release the weight. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep showing up with a clean heart, because the next level isn't just about where you're going. It's about who you're becoming, and bitterness cannot go where God is taking you. Faith can. Forgiveness can. Peace can. Keep choosing them and watch what happens next.